Hi, hello. Welcome to i-TUTOR NCERT series. Today, we are going to discuss Class 12 Geography NCERT Fundamentals of Human Geography, Chapter 5 Secondary Activities. So, in last class, we discussed about the primary activities. Now, the secondary activities. Economic activities, namely primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary, revolve around obtaining and utilizing resources necessary for survival. Secondary activities add value to natural resources by transforming raw materials into valuable products. Okay, so what is secondary activities? They give value or they add value to natural resources by transforming raw materials into valuable products. Cotton in the ball has limited use, but after it is transformed into yarn, it becomes more valuable and can be used for making clothes. Iron ore cannot be used directly from the mines, but after being converted into steel, it gets its value and can be used for making many valuable machines, tools, etc. Okay, so what happened here? The cotton in balls. Okay, the cotton balls have limited use, but at the same time, when it transformed into yarn, what happened? Its value increased. Okay, it became more valuable and it can be used for making clothes. Same, the iron ore. It cannot be used directly from the mines, but after being converted into steel, what happened? It gets its value and it can be used for making many valuable machines, tools, etc. The same is true of most of the materials from the farm, forest, mine, and the sea. Secondary activities, therefore, are concerned with the manufacturing, processing, and construction industries. Okay, so that is the secondary activities. Now, manufacturing. Manufacturing involves a full array of production from handicraft to molding iron and steel and stamping out plastic toys to assembling delicate computer components or space vehicles. In each of these processes, the common characteristics are the application of power, mass production of identical products and specialized labor in factory settings for the production of standardized commodities. Manufacturing may be done with modern power and machinery, or it may still be very primitive. Most of the third world countries still manufacture in the literal sense of the term. It is difficult to present a full picture of all the manufacturers in these countries. More emphasis is given to kind of industrial activities which involve less complicated system of production. Now, characteristics of modern large-scale manufacturing. The modern large-scale manufacturing has the following characteristics. First one, specialization of skills or methods of production. Under the craft method, factories produce only a few pieces which are made to order, so the costs are high. On the other hand, mass production involves production of large quantities of standardized parts by each worker performing only one task repeatedly. Okay, so the first characteristics of modern large-scale manufacturing is the specialization of skills or the method of production. Second one, mechanization. Mechanization refers to the using gadgets which accomplish tasks. Automation, that is without aid of human thinking during the manufacturing process, is the advanced stage of mechanization. Automatic factories with feedback and closed-loop computer control systems where machines are developed into think have sprung up all over the world. Now, third one is technological innovation. Technological innovations through research and development strategy are important aspects of modern manufacturing for quality control, eliminating waste and inefficiency, and combating pollution. Now, organizational structure and stratification. Modern manufacturing is characterized by a complex machine technology and extreme specialization and division of labor for producing more goods with less efforts and low cost. It also requires vast capital, large organizational and executive bureaucracy for a large-scale manufacturing industry. Okay, so that is organizational structure and stratification. Now, uneven geographic distribution. Major concentrations of modern manufacturing have flourished in a few number of places. These cover less than 10% of the world's land area. These nations have become the center of economic and political power. However, in terms of the total area covered, manufacturing sites are much less conspicuous and concentrated on much smaller areas than that of agriculture due to greater intensity of process. For example, 2.5 square kilometer of the American Corn Belt usually includes about 4 large farms employing about 10 to 20 workers supporting 50 to 100 persons. But this same area could contain several large integrated factories and employ thousands of workers. Industries maximize profit by reducing cost. Therefore, industries should be located at points where the production costs are minimum. Some of the factors influencing industrial locations are under. First one, access to market. The existence of a market for manufactured goods is the most important factor in the location of industries. Market means people who have a demand for these goods and also have purchasing power, that is ability to purchase, that is called purchasing power, to be able to purchase from the seller at a place. Remote areas inhabited by a few people offer small markets. The developed regions of Europe, North America, Japan and Australia provide large global markets as the purchasing power of the people is very high. The densely populated regions of South and Southeast Asia also provide large markets. Some industries such as aircraft manufacturing have a global market. The arms industries also has global markets. Now second one is the access to raw material. Raw material used by industries should be cheap and easy to transport. Industries based on cheap, bulky and weight-losing material, that is ores, are located close to the sources of raw material such as steel, sugar and the cement industries. Perishability is a vital factor for the industry to be located closer to the source of raw material. Agro-processing and the dairy products are processed close to the source of farm products, produce or milk supply respectively. Okay, so that is the access to raw material. Now third one is access to labor supply. Labor supply is an important factor in the location of industries. Some types of manufacturing still require skilled labor. Increasing mechanization, automation and flexibility of industrial process have reduced dependency of industry upon the laborers. Now, access to source of energy. Industries which use more power are located close to the source of the energy supply such as aluminum industry. Earlier, coal was the main source of energy. Today, hydroelectricity and petroleum are also important source of energy for many industries. Okay. Now, access to transportation and communication facilities. Speedy and efficient transport facilities to carry raw materials to the factory and to move finished goods to the market are essential for the development of industries. The cost of transport plays an important role in the location of industrial units. Western Europe and Eastern North America have a highly developed transport system which has always induced the concentration of industries in these areas. Modern industry is inseparably tied to transportation system. Improvements in transportation led to the integrated economic development and regional specialization of manufacturing. Communication is also an important need for industries for the exchange and management of information. Okay, so that's the access to transportation and communication facilities. Okay, so this is also important for the location of an industry. Now, government policy. Government adopted regional policies to promote balanced economic development and hence set up industries in particular areas. Now, access to agglomeration economies, that is, or linked between industries. Many industries benefit from nearest to a leader industry and other industries. These benefits are termed as agglomeration economics. Okay, so this is termed as agglomeration economies. Savings are derived from the linkage which exists between different industries. These factors operate together to determine industrial location. Now, classification of manufacturing industries. Okay, so the industries or manufacturing industries are classified on the basis of their size, inputs or raw materials, output of products, and ownership. Okay, so can be classified on 4 types based on size, inputs or raw materials, output of products, and ownership. First, industries based on size. The amount of capital invested, number of workers employed, and volume of production determine the size of industry. Okay, so what are the things which determine the size of industry? The amount of capital invested, number of workers employed, and the volume of production determines. Okay, so these things determine the size of industry. Accordingly, industries may be classified into household or cottage and small scale and large scale. First one, household industries or cottage manufacturing. It is the smallest manufacturing unit. Okay, so the household industries are the smallest manufacturing unit. The artisans use local raw materials and simple tools to produce everyday goods in their homes with the help of their family members or part-time laborers. Okay, so the artisans use local raw materials and simple tools to produce everyday goods in their homes with the help of their family members or a part-time labor. Finished products may be for consumption in the same household or for sale in local village or markets or for barter. Capital and transportation do not wield much influences on these types of manufacturing, has low commercial significance, and most of the tools are devised locally. Okay, so most of the tools are devised locally. Some common everyday products produced in the sector of manufacturing include foodstuffs, fabrics, mats, containers, tools, furniture, shoes, and figurine from the wood, load and forest, shoes, thongs, and other articles from the leather, then pottery and bricks from clays and stones. Okay, so these are some of the common manufacturing things or products. Goldsmith makes jewelry of gold, silver, and bronze. Some artifacts and crafts are made out of bamboo, wood obtained locally from the forest. So see, these are some of the examples for household industries or the cottage manufacturing industries. Now, small scale manufacturing. Small scale manufacturing is distinguished from household industries by its production techniques and place of manufacture. That's a workshop outside the home or cottage of the producer. This type of manufacturing uses local raw material, simple power driven machines, and semi-skilled labor. It provides employment and raises local purchasing power. Therefore, countries like India, China, Indonesia, and Brazil, etc., have developed labor intensive small scale manufacturing in order to provide employment to their population. Okay, so that's a small scale manufacturing. Next one is large scale manufacturing. Large scale manufacturing involves a large market, various raw materials, enormous energy, specialized workers, advanced technology, assembly line mass production, and large capital. Okay, so these are some of the main components of the large scale manufacturing. Large market, various raw materials, enormous energy, specialized workers, advanced technology, assembly line mass production, and large capital. This kind of manufacturing developed in the last 200 years in the United Kingdom, Northeastern USA, and the Europe. Now, it has diffused to almost all over the world. On the basis of the system of large-scale manufacturing, the world's major industrial regions may be grouped under two broad types, namely traditional large-scale industries region, which are thickly clustered in a few more developed countries. Second one, high-technology large-scale industrial regions, which have diffused to less developed countries. Okay, so the large-scale major industrial regions may be grouped under two broad types. First one, traditional large-scale industry. Okay, traditional large-scale industrial region, which are thickly clustered in a few more developed countries. Second one, high technology large-scale industrial regions, which have diffused to less developed countries. Now, second one is the industries based on inputs or raw materials. Okay. On the basis of the raw materials used, the industries are classified as agro-based, mineral-based, chemical-based, forest-based and animal-based. Okay, so on the basis of raw materials or the inputs, we can classify industries into agro-based, mineral-based, chemical-based, forest-based and animal-based. First one is agro-based industries. Agro-processing involves the processing of raw materials from the field and the farm into finished products for rural and urban markets. Major agro-processing industries are food processing, sugar, pickles, fruits, fruit juices, beverages that is tea, coffee, cocoa, etc. Then spices and oil fats and textiles that is cotton, jute, silk, then rubber, etc. So these are some of the important agro-based industries. Okay. So food processing. Agro-processing includes canning, producing cream, fruit processing and confectionery. While some preserving techniques such as drying, fermenting and pickling have been known since ancient times, these had limited application to cater to the pre-industrial revolution demands. Okay, that is the food processing. Now, mineral-based industries. These industries use minerals as a raw material. Some industries use ferrous metallic minerals which contain ferrous, that is iron, such as iron and steel industries, but some uses non-ferrous metallic minerals such as aluminium, copper and jewelry industries. Many industries use non-metallic minerals such as cement and pottery industries. Okay, so that is the mineral-based industries. Next one is chemical-based industries. Such industries use natural chemical minerals. Example, mineral oil, that is petroleum, is used in petrochemical industry. Salts, sulfur and potash industries also use natural minerals. Chemical industries are also based on raw materials obtained from wood and coal. Synthetic fiber, plastic, etc. are other examples of chemical-based industries. Okay, so the synthetic fibers and plastic are also example of the chemical-based industries. Now, forest-based raw material using industries. The forests provide many major and minor products which are used as raw material. Timber for furniture industry, wood, bamboo, and grass for paper industries, lac industries come from the forest. Okay, so that is the forest-based raw material industries. And now animal-based industries. Leather for leather industries and wool for woolen textile are obtained from animals. Besides, ivory is also obtained from elephant's tusk. Okay, so that is animal-based industries. Next one is industries based on output or product. You have seen some machines and tools made of iron or steel. The raw materials for such machines and tools is iron and steel, which is itself an industry. Okay, so this is also an industry, that is the raw material for such machines, that is iron and steel, which is also itself an industry. The industries whose products are used to make other goods by using them as raw materials are basic industries. Okay, so what is this? The industries whose products are used to make other goods by using them as raw material. This is called basic industries. Iron or steel machines for textile industry, clothes for use by consumer. Now, here iron or steel for machines and in clothes for textile industries. Okay, textile industries clothes used. The consumer goods industries produced goods which are consumed by consumer directly. For example, industries producing bread and biscuits, tea, soaps and toiletries, paper for writing, television, etc. are consumer good or non-basic industries. Okay. Now, industries based on ownership. Public sector industries, private sector industries, joint sector industries are some of the example. Okay, so what is called public sector industries? What is public sector industries? Industries are owned and managed by governments. That is called public sector industries. In India, there were a number of public sector undertakings, that is PSUs. Socialist countries have many state-owned industries. Mixed economics have both public and private sector enterprises. Now, private sector industries, they are owned by individual investors. Okay, here in public sector, they are owned and managed by governments, but private sector, they are owned by individual investors. These are managed by private organizations. In capitalist countries, industries are generally owned privately. Now, third one, joint sector industries. They are managed by joint stock companies, or sometimes the private and public sector together established and manage the industries. Okay, here the private sector and the public sector, they were together established and manage these industries. That is called joint sector industries. Now, concept of high technology industry. High technology, or simply high tech, is the latest generation of manufacturing activities. So what is high tech? That is the latest generation of manufacturing activities. It is best understood as the application of intensive research and development efforts leading to manufacture of products of an advanced scientific and engineering character. Professional, that is white collar workers, make up a large share of the total workforce. These highly skilled specialists greatly outnumber the actual production, that is blue collar workers. Robotics on the assembly line, computer aided designs and manufacturing, electronic controls of smelting and refining process, and the constant development of new chemicals and pharmaceutical products are notable examples of high-tech industries. A neatly spaced, low, modern, dispersed office plant lab building rather than massive assembly structures, factories and storage area mark the high-tech industrial landscape. Planned business parks for high-tech startups have become part of the regional and local development schemes. High-tech industries which are regionally concentrated, self-sustained and highly specialized are called technopolis. Okay, so the high-tech industries which are regionally concentrated, self-sustained and highly specialized, they are called technopolis. The Silicon Valley near the San Francisco and the Silicon Forest near the settled are example of technopolis. Okay, so the Silicon Valley near the San Francisco and the Silicon Forest near settled are example of technopolis. Manufacturing contributes significantly to the world economy. Iron and steel, then textiles, automobiles, petrochemicals and electronics are some of the world's most important manufacturing industries. Okay, so in this chapter we are discussing about the secondary sector manufacturing. Okay, so that's all about the chapter. If you have any doubts, you can comment below. For more related comments, do like, share, subscribe.